Today I'm going to show you how to make that little time slowdown effect you just saw using just your smartphone. And I think that being able to do a fun effect like this on your smartphone speaks volumes. To creativity and having fun and all that. You can utilize it in a lot of different ways. And I'd seen this happen a bunch. I'd seen a bunch of versions of this. I'd seen time freeze effects in movies where the environment freezes around people and they still walk through the environment, or the camera moves through the frozen environment. Same idea, same concept. Being able to do this on your phone just opens up possibilities. So we'll get right into it. We'll talk about the different pieces of gear that might help you shoot this, what you need to set your phone to. Then we'll film it, get into the software, and go about editing it and finalizing our video together. So this should be fun. But before we get started, if video editing tips and tricks and doing stuff like this on your phone appeals to you, you might want to subscribe to my channel because I have a full playlist on mobile video editing and you'll hopefully get some use out of it. First thing you want to do is control your lighting source. You're also going to need your phone to be stationary. I love my Ulanzi Octopus tripod. It is an MT33. I'll link it below. My favorite flexible tripod. Now it looks like, isn't that a tripod for a camera? But this tripod's awesome because the top of it does this and then it clamps to a phone. And then it also has a cold shoe mount here and a cold shoe mount here, so you can get a microphone and a light on it if you want to do that. This cold shoe mount's going to come in handy for one other use that's something I believe you need for this, because when you're shooting a video like this with your phone, you want to use your best camera, so it'd be the camera on this side of the phone. For some reason, and I have a whole rant video about this, phones never put their best camera here. And if they do, they still don't give you all the fun aspects of how to use it on the selfie camera. So the rear facing cameras are usually your best ones. That being said, you can't see yourself when you're doing it. So Nicey Rig makes this vlogging mirror that can help out with this. So what I do is I utilize this tripod, add the vlogging mirror on it, and this is going to allow you to see yourself on the camera while you're selecting to hit record. You can see where your stuff's at in the framing and all that while you're using the best camera on your smartphone. You can also use like a makeup mirror, or if you didn't care what environment you're doing this in, you could do it in the bathroom and use the bathroom mirror to see it. So there's ways around buying stuff for it. That being said, this little setup here with just these two items is gonna run you like 40 bucks, and it'll come in handy for more than just this video. So you might want to consider picking some of this stuff up. If so, please use my affiliate links below because it does help me out in continuing to make these awesome videos for you guys. I like to say they're awesome. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But if you learn something, then they're pretty awesome, right? So when we get into our smartphone, most smartphones these days, and I mean every smartphone I've had for the last 6+ years has had manual video settings in it, and you're gonna want to use these manual settings. So when you get into your phone, you always just go into like your standard photo mode. Problem with that is it adjusts lighting and stuff. Like if my hand's close to the camera, it's gonna change the lighting to expose my hand properly. That's just how they're designed. They want to automatically give you the best picture quality that they can. If it's in automatic, you're gonna get stuff that's gonna be a little wonky. It's gonna be hard to match up video. So what you wanna do in this one's called Pro Video Mode. So I'm gonna hit my Pro Video Mode, and this gives me all of the adjustments that I need. And you might be saying, why not just use your Slo Mo mode? That's because those are all automatic settings also. And typically on phones, the Slo Mo mode isn't great for if you want some of your video to be sped up. You're gonna wanna record it in as high of a frame rate that it will allow you to on your phone. So up here's where I pick mine. Some of them you have to go into the setting, like the cog, and change your frame rates in there, but mine actually has it up here. So I pick 120 frames per second in whichever it allows me to do 120 frames per second. If it's 720, you're gonna not have as great of a picture quality, but this one does 1080 at 120 frames per second, so that's fine for me. And 1080 is more than enough for social media stuff. So 1080, 120 frames per second, that allows us some leeway. Because if we're playing it back in 24 frames per second, we're gonna have a 5 times slow-mo. We're gonna make sure that our shutter speed's set at 3 times our frame rate. So our frame rate being 120 frames per second, we're gonna want our shutter speed, so 120, 240, 360. as close to 360 as possible. This one's closest to 360 is 1/350. And the reason we want to do that is because we want to lower the motion blur. That way our object that's slowed down will look nice and clean while it's slowed down. Eliminating the motion blur, in my mind, is a good thing for slow motion, and it's one thing I use when I'm doing slow motion all the time. Keep in mind, when you raise your shutter speed, you have to raise your lighting in the room to get the right exposure. And then you'll set your ISO for the specific ISO you want. Get your exposure, get your ISO where you want it, lock it in, make sure it's manually set. I would do the same with white balance, because if your white balance changes in the middle of it, it's gonna mess stuff up too. So I'll let it kind of automatically select, is what it's doing right now. And then after it's automatically select, click the auto button to change it to manual. This is kind of a standard on most phones. You have a manual option. So get your highest frame rate with your manual option and set all your manual settings so that they're not adjusting on you in the middle of your shoot. For this one, we're gonna turn it vertical because I wanna use it for TikToks and Instagram Reels, and even shorts on YouTube. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mount my phone, I'll grab an object to throw in the air, and then we'll do another shot of this. All right, I have the clip in the timeline and I'm ready to go. I've trimmed off some stuff I need at the beginning and end, which I don't need to show you guys. If you don't know how to get to this point, back out, go check out my PowerDirector playlist and start learning PowerDirector before you get into this. But clips in the timeline, hit the play button. I just got this new Slo Mo action too. Let's go shoot something. What's happening? That was weird. All right, well, let's go. So throw it up in the air and catch it. I need to cut out that portion where it's in the air. So right here, I'm gonna go ahead and split it. I'm gonna go back to where I throw it up. Right there, I'm gonna split it again. Now I wanna take this clip and I wanna bring it down to the next layer on the timeline. And now anything above this I can't see, so I can only see the yellow clip right now. And then all of a sudden it cuts to the clip above it. So I wanna find my portion of the clip above it that I wanna use. So I know I screwed up a little bit and I gotta find the section. So I think it's like right before I lean back is where I wanna cut it. So I'm going to split it here. I'm going to remove the beginning stuff there. All right. Before we do anything else on the bottom clip, the first thing we need to do is slow it down. So we find our speed and we click speed and then we drag it all the way. You could drag it to wherever you feel like it needs to be on yours. Mine, I can go all the way as slow as it'll go because of how I recorded it. And then I know, because I already kind of messed with this, that I need an ease out at the end just so that things line up, because I want it to line up with me catching it, like my fake catch. So I'm easing out and then I gotta scroll over. Let's just kind of see where my fake catch lands. So it's right there. So I'm lining it up pretty perfect. All right, so boom, catch. All right, so that's perfect. So let's go ahead and start masking. So we're gonna back out by hitting those two arrows. I'm gonna find my mask tool. Mask, mask, mask. There's mask tool, ellipse mask. We're going to size it around our object. Now I can hit a keyframe here, but I'd rather go to the beginning and start my keyframes at the beginning. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and move my mask down. And I'm going to hit the plus diamond over here. Now I scroll forward till you see the object leave the keyframe. And you're just going to go through and move your mask every time you see your object leave your keyframe or leave your mask. And there's one part on mine where it gets a little tricky. So it goes up to where it's at like this apex of the toss. It's at the top of the toss. And so it stays there for a minute. And right before it starts coming down, I want to keyframe it again, and I want to actually hit the plus button for that one. And that's so that the mask doesn't really move between those two. Because if you just start following it down, you'll wind up with your mask moving. I want to go check between these two just to make sure I don't lose it at all. All right, it looks like I do not lose it. Keep going. All right, let's check it. We're going to just play through it and see if it works. I just got this new Slo Mo action too. Let's go shoot something. What's happening? It's a little off at the end. And what I could do is I could slightly slow down my top framing. So I could slightly slow that down, or I could just manipulate it a little bit just so my catch kind of goes a little later. There we go. So if I manipulate the beginning of it, like just slightly, it'll push out my catch. So let's play back through it again.
Go shoot something. What's happening?
So that looks all right. So you can also add sound and an overlay and all sorts of other fun stuff if you want. You can change the coloring in your film. But if you go down to audio while you have nothing selected, you can use the different audios. You got music or sound effects. You can go ahead and search through their library. They got Shutterstock or PowerDirector's own. You can search by genre and moods and stuff like that. So go ahead and add sound to yours, and this is what you get. I just got this new Osmo Action 2. Let's go shoot something. What's happening? That was weird. All right, well, let's go. What do you think? It's not too hard. I think it turned out pretty good also, right? If you think it turned out good and you want to make some on your own, hit that like button. And subscribe to the channel to see more videos on editing with your phone and just budget videography in general. I do like to do a lot of stuff with my phone, but as you know, I go and I have like my Osmo Pocket 2 and other cameras, and I like to shoot all around, and I do some professional work. So for my professional side of things, I bought the Sony FX30. This camera is pretty awesome, and it is basically Sony's lowest end of their cinema lineup, so I would qualify it as a budget cinema camera, which fits along the lines of my channel. So if you guys want to learn more about this budget cinema camera and stuff like that, please leave comments and let me know what you'd like to learn on it, because I plan on doing a few videos on this guy over the next couple months, and I'm going to continue shooting with it. So those comments would be super helpful. But until next week, guys, I would like you to check out the rest of my PowerDirector playlist right there, or check out whatever YouTube recommends for you right below. And I'm going to go shoot some more stuff, play with this FX30, and I hope you guys do the same. Go shoot something, upload it, share with people, have fun with that effect. Peace. See ya.